Good morning. We're going to continue our glossary, Dharma talks from the glossary definitions. And Linda chose the definition this morning. So Linda, take it away.
Okay. It's a little bit jumping off of the talk yesterday, but you don't need to have been here. We're going to talk about discipline. So, Nelly's description: the practice of training people to obey rules, using punishment to correct disobedience. Synonym: control. Second definition: a branch of knowledge. And she got both of those from the Oxford. I got it, Nelly.
Yeah.
She got both of these from the Oxford English Dictionary. And then this is her words. You probably want knowledge. To what degree do rules provide knowledge? How do you punish yourself when you aren't following the rules? Whose rules are they anyway?
Part of our talk wasn't going to be on the last line, but it just really struck me right now. Like, that is an interesting question when you're following the rules, to kind of trace back, where did you get these rules? That is actually a whole interesting direction that we weren't going to talk about. We better talk
maybe
about
we
that.
are talking about it though, because we're really talking about the Buddhist rules, in some respects. And we're going to go to a teaching on the middle path, right? That's what we wanted to start off with. You were.
I was going to say, when you said the Buddhist rules, I mean, there's so many. Yeah, who knows what the Buddhist rules are? I mean, we assimilated something from different places about what are the rules around meditation. I think we each have our own collage or whatever. We integrated them from different places, and we think different things are the rules during meditation. Right. And of course, we have very light rules. But anyway, that wasn't our direction. Go to the middle path where we were planning to go.
Yes. So in that sense, we're really looking at, where does discipline, fall in reflective meditation or in your meditation practice. And that to not have any discipline, to not have give any effort, that's another, let's say, misdirection, because you do have to use some effort to meditate. It took you a little effort to get here and maybe get online today. And the middle path, as we know it, is often talked about as exploring extremes, so that you're not always going to be able to stay on what's a middle path. You're going to wander all over the place.
And from my experience, actually, I don't even know what the middle is until I know something about the extremes. How can you know the middle if you don't know what you're in the middle of, so to speak? But you have to be careful, because the extremes can lead to some unwanted places. If you don't use any discipline, well, then you're never going to really get the benefits of meditation, which is not going to keep you going on the path. And you're never going to develop, because you don't really get why do it, because you haven't gotten the benefits. You're sort of caught in a cycle that doesn't support this. On the other hand, I have heard of, albeit only a handful of people, who were so disciplined and didn't move in meditation that they actually had lifelong bodily damage. Right. So that's the other extreme, is I can't move, and it really hurts you. Either actually can hurt you emotionally too.
Maybe that's what we're saying meditation, the meditative process is part of, is finding that middle way, and actually starting to trust your meditative practice, your process in meditation. But you can't often trust it right away. Nelly, back to, until we try it, until we have a little bit of experimentation and find what doesn't work. I have seen many people who have sat cross-legged for years not be able to walk or run in the way that they'd hoped to in their older age. But that's also a metaphor for the mind too. Like, your mind can also get trapped into something and not be able to be as flexible from over discipline.
Right. Right. So there really is a process about finding the middle way. I mean, when I was first doing Vipassana back 40 plus years ago, I mean, I was told you have to meditate daily, and that's just how you do it. And so, like, I did see a benefit after my first retreat, actually a remarkable benefit. So that really got me meditating every day. And then I got more benefits. We're not saying that. So you're sort of on your own to figure out how much to meditate to get the benefits that you want. And in the beginning, it's a bit of an act of faith because you have not yet gotten the benefits.
Yeah, yeah. And you're also coming to a practice with your own history of the word discipline, and discipline was often heavily used in our childhoods, in our early religious training, if we had that. I had a, really descriptive uh, description, but anyway, basically of the hells that I would go to, the fire and the devils, etc., if I didn't ... And that stuff, when you're early on, it's very scary, and it's hard to unlearn that. Like, it can come back to you in your life. You have these memories of the fantasies that were created from those hell realms.
Yeah, you have to overcome that. That is a difficult thing to deal with. So discipline during meditation. So here we are online. Here we have been online now for over 3 years. And that it really demands that we find more of the discipline has to come from inside of ourselves. Yeah, the discipline of tuning in at 9 a.m. rather than whatever, taking a very long breakfast or, lying in bed for a long time. There's a discipline to get here. That's what I'm saying. But then once you get here, then we turn off our cameras when we meditate, and you have to find your own discipline.
Right. And because many of us haven't gone back to meditating with others, and it really is on our own, I know I've had to use something closer to strong effort at times, put myself in a different location in my house, in a different chair, make a promise to myself that I wouldn't move or get up and answer emails at one point during the sitting. Or if I did so, I would do that mindfully, but then got kind of carried away with it and did that a few too many times where it didn't even feel like I'm meditating anymore. So there is a sense of on our own at times having to use a stronger effort, which Nelly, you discovered going back into person, you don't have to use it in the same way.
I know. So some of us are back at the Pine Street Sangha building for the groups. Some of us aren't. We have this very nice hybrid structure going on. I teach to a TV screen, which is not that much different than teaching to a computer screen. It's easier to meditate. That's why I always make the effort to get there, because actually it takes an effort to get there. But once I get there, it's easier to meditate. And I always thought it was like just easier to meditate with other people in person, this 3-dimensional in-person thing we're doing now. Sometimes it's really, wonderful. And it's easier, I found, to meditate. But that I was just thinking, it's the feeling of others around us, however we perceive that, which is a different talk. But it's also, I'm not going to look at my phone during meditation. I mean, nobody's going to watch me, but it's like there is a discipline in the group that, I don't have to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. Nobody's looking at their phones.
Right. I do think it's not a completely different talk about like who's watching us, like our own, is there an external observer or internal observer, in that sense of, what would I do with other people around, and, how far do I stray when others aren't watching me? That's kind of an interesting.
That is an interesting thing.
Nugget.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, so we're really thinking about, we started meditating daily in the DOM together, and life has started coming back in. maybe the past year, maybe, just recently for some of us. But there's so many competing things now at 9 a.m. in the morning. How are you choosing what to do? How is it going for you in this long transition back to post-COVID life, if that's what we are indeed in?
And by the way, I see there's some new faces, and welcome, welcome. And
Welcome.
the DOM is the shorthand for what we call this the daily online meditation, the DOM, just to let you know what that refers to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this, I think, I know so many people have said to me, those of you who've been around for a while, like, oh, having this daily, I never could get together a daily or a mostly daily meditation practice. And this has really made a huge difference. I'm now meditating most days, and it's really impacting my life in a good way. People obviously needed more structure, to meditate more often. And of course, many of you came every single day in the early days of the pandemic, Linda and I included. We were in lockdown. There was no
choice.
There was many other Zoom groups actually, but there wasn't all that other stuff to do out in the world, out in life, out of our homes, let's say. Now there's so many competing interests and events, and you really need to determine what's best for you each morning, how much this group supports you, how much this group helps you, how much meditating most days is really onward leading for you.
So there it is, back again to our own internal discipline, and yet it's being done with others. And where let's say, in a sense, you start to feel guilty that you should do more, or there's a kind of a critical voice, or there's a rule that you think you should be following, but we haven't told you that one yet. Yeah.
Okay, time to do it, huh? Meditate, that is.